Hare Krishna, everybody. I'm starting by myself today. Hopefully someone will join us. I hope you had a nice weekend. We had a wonderful Narasingha Chaturdasi festival here at our home, which is also in Shringadev Mandir. So several people came. And we had some nice prasadam and the kirtan, and Melissa brought her cousin, and now she's interested in Krishna consciousness. This is her first time that she had ever come to a kirtan. So that's very encouraging to see that people are inquiring and becoming attracted. So we're going to just start out here. We're in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad-Gītā, text 6 and 7. Yetu sarvani karmani mai sannyasi matpara ananyaiva yenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate tesham aham samudarta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat parta Maya Vishesita Chetasam. Synonyms. Yea, those who, too, but sarvani, all, karmani, activities, mai, unto me, sannyasya, giving up, matpara, being attached to me, ananyena, without division, eva, certainly, yogena, by practice of such bhakti yoga, mam, upon me, dhyayanta, meditating, upasate, worship, Tesham, of them, aham, I, Samudarta, the deliverer, mrityu, of death, samsara, in material existence, sagarat, from the ocean, bhavami, I become, na, not, chirat, after a long time, parta, O son of Prita, mai, upon me, avesita, fixed, chetasam, of those whose minds. Translation. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engage in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Prita. For them, I'm the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It is explicitly stated here that the devotees are very fortunate to be delivered very soon from the material existence by the Lord. In pure devotional service, one comes to the realization that God is great and that the individual soul is subordinate to Him. His duty is to render service to the Lord, and if he does not, then he will render service to Maya. As stated before, the Supreme Lord can be appreciated only by devotional service. Therefore, one should be fully devoted. One should fix his mind only on Krishna in order to achieve him. One should work only for Krishna. It does not matter what kind of work one engages, but that work should be done only for Krishna. That is the standard of devotional service. The devotee does not desire any achievement other than pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His life's mission is to please Krishna, and he can sacrifice everything for Krishna's satisfaction, just as Arjuna did in the Battle of Kurukshetra. The process is very simple. One can devote himself in his occupation and engage at the same time in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Such transcendental chanting attracts the devotee to the personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord herein promises that without delay, he will deliver a pure devotee thus engaged from the ocean of material existence. Those who are advanced in yoga practice can willfully transfer their soul to whatever planet they like by the yoga process, and others take the opportunity in various ways. But as far as a devotee is concerned, it is clearly stated here that the Lord takes him himself. The devotee does not need to wait to become very experienced in order to transfer himself to the spiritual sky. In the Varaha Purana, this verse appears. Nayami paramam stanam anchir adi gatim bina garuda skanda maropya yate cham anivartirita. The purport of this verse is that a devotee does not need to practice Ashtanga Yoga in order to transfer his soul to the spiritual planets. The responsibility is taken by the Supreme Lord himself. He clearly states here that he himself becomes the deliverer. A child is completely cared for by his parents, and thus his position is secure. Similarly, a devotee does not need to endeavor to transfer himself by yoga practice to other planets. Rather, the Supreme Lord, by his great mercy, comes at once, riding on his bird carrier or Garuda, and at once delivers the devotee from material existence. Although a man who has fallen in the ocean may struggle very hard and may be very expert in swimming, he cannot save himself. But if someone comes and picks him up from the water, then he's easily rescued. Similarly, the Lord picks up the devotee from this material existence. One simply has to practice the easy process of Krishna consciousness and fully engage himself in devotional service. Any intelligent man should always prefer the process of devotional service to all other paths. In the Narayaniya, this is confirmed as follows. Savai sadhana sampati purushartha chatushtaye taya vina tadapnoti naranarayana shraya. The purport of this verse is that one should not engage in the different processes of fruitive activity or cultivate knowledge by a mental speculative process. One who is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can attain all the benefits derived from other yogic processes, speculation, rituals, sacrifices, charities, etc. That is the specific benediction of devotional service. Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A devotee of the Lord can approach the supreme destination easily and happily, but this destination cannot be approached by any other process of religion. The conclusion of Bhagavad-Gītā is stated in the 18th chapter. Sarva dharman parichaja mamekam sharanam braja amtam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma shucha. One should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply execute devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That one will enable one to reach the highest perfection of life. There is no need for one to consider the sinful actions of his past life because the Supreme Lord fully takes charge of him. Therefore, one should not futilely try to deliver himself in spiritual realization. Let everyone take shelter of the Supreme Omnipotent Godhead, Krishna. That is the highest perfection of life. Text 8. Mayeva manadashva, Mai buddham niveshaya, nirvasishyasi mayeva, atta urdvam nasamshaya. Synonyms: Mai, upon me, eva, certainly, mana, mind, adatsva, fix, Mai, upon me, buddham, intelligence, nivashaya, apply, nivashishyasi, you will live, Mai, in me, eva, certainly, ata urdvam, thereafter, na, never, samshaya, doubt. Translation: just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. Purport: one who is engaged in Lord Krishna's devotional service lives in a direct relationship with the Supreme Lord. So there is no doubt that his position is transcendental from the very beginning. A devotee does not live on the material plane. He lives in Krishna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. Therefore, when a devotee chants Hare Krishna and his internal potency are dancing on the tongue of the devotee, when he offers Krishna food, Krishna directly accepts these eatables, and the devotee becomes Krishnized by eating the remnants. One who does not engage in such service cannot understand how this is so, although this is a process recommended in the Bhagavad-Gītā and in other Vedic literatures. Text 9. Atachitam samadatum na akshnoti mai stiram abhyasa yogena tato mam ichaptum dhananjaya. Synonyms: ata, if therefore, chittam, mind, samadatum, to fix, na, not, shakshnosi, you are able, mai, upon me, stiram, steadily, abhyasa yogena, by the practice of devotional service, tata, then, mam, me, Icha, desire, aptum, to get, dhanam jaya, a winner of wealth, Arjuna. Translation, my dear Arjuna, O a winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Purport. In this verse, two different processes of Bhakti Yoga are indicated. The first applies only to one who has actually developed an attachment for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by transcendental love. And the other is for one who has not developed an attachment for the Supreme Person by transcendental love. For this second class, there are different prescribed rules and regulations one can follow to be ultimately elevated to the stage of attachment to Krishna. Bhakti Yoga is the purification of the senses. At the present moment in material existence, the senses are always impure, being engaged in sense gratification. But by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, these senses can become purified, and in the purified state, they come directly in contact with the Supreme Lord. In this material existence, I may be engaged in some service to some master, but I don't really lovingly serve my master. I simply serve to get some money, and the master is also not in love. He takes service from me and pays me. There is no question of love. But for spiritual life, one must be elevated to the pure stage of love. That stage of love can be achieved by the practice of devotional service performed with the present senses. This love of God is now in a dormant state in everyone's heart, and there, love of God is manifested in different ways, but it is contaminated by material association. Now, the heart has to be purified of the material association, and that natural dormant love for Krishna has to be revived. That is the whole process. To practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the expert guidance of a spiritual master, follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple, and offer prayers and chant Hare Krishna, and then offer flowers to the deity, cook foodstuffs to offer to the deity, and take prasadam, and so on. There are various rules and regulations which one should follow, and one should constantly hear Bhagavad-gītā and Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help anyone rise to the level of love of God, and then he is sure of his progress into the spiritual kingdom of God. This practice of Bhakti Yoga under the rules and regulations with the direction of a spiritual master will surely bring one to the stage of love of God. Text 10. Abhyase pi asamartosi mat karma paramo bhava. Madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi. Synonyms. Abhyase, in practice, api, even if, samartha, unable, asi, you are, mat karma, my work, parama, dedicated to, bhava, become, matartam, for my sake, api, even, karmani, work, kurvan, performing, siddhim, perfection, avapyasasi, you will achieve. Translation. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Purport. One who is not able even to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of a spiritual master can still be drawn to this perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Lord. How to do this work has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter. One should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There are many devotees who are engaged in the propagation of Krishna consciousness, and they require help. So even if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business, one requires a place to stay, some capital to use, some labor, and some organization to expand. So the same is required in the service of Krishna. The only difference is that in materialism, one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that spiritual activity. If one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna consciousness, or he can help with publications. There are various fields of activity, and one should be interested in such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the results of his activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one rise to the higher state of love of God, whereupon one becomes perfect. Text 11. Ataitadapya shakdoshi karman madhyogam ashrita karma sarva karma phalam tyagam tata kuru yatatmavan. Synonyms. Ata, even though etat this, api also, ashakta, unable, ashi you are, kartum to perform, mat unto me, yogam in devotional service, ashrita taking refuge, sarva karma of all activities, phala of the results, tyagam renunciation, tata then, kuru do, yatat malan self-situated. Translation. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to give up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Report. It may be that one is unable to even to sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments. If one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objections from family members or so many other difficulties. For one who has such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activities to some good cause. Such procedures are described in the Vedic rules. There are many descriptions of sacrifices and special functions for the full moon day, and there is special work in which the result of one's previous action may be applied. Thus, one may gradually become elevated to the state of knowledge. It is also found that when one who is not interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other social institution, he gives up the hard-earned results of his activities. That is also recommended here, because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind gradually, and in that purified stage of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. Of course, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any other experience, because Krishna consciousness itself can purify one's mind. But if there are some impediments in accepting Krishna consciousness, one may try to give up the results of his actions. In that respect, social service, community service, national service, sacrificing for one's country, etc., may be accepted so that someday one may come to the stage of pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad-gītā 18:46, we find it stated, Yata pravritir bhutanam. If one decides to sacrifice for the supreme cause, even if he does not know that the supreme cause is Krishna, he will come gradually to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method. Text 12. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasaj gyanad dhyayan vishishyate dhyanat karma phala tyagas tyagach chantir anantaram. Synonyms. Shreya, better, he, certainly, jnanam, knowledge, abhyasat, then practice, dhyanat, then knowledge, dhyanam, meditation, vishishyate is considered better, dhyanat, then meditation, karma phala tyaga, renunciation of the seeds of fruit of action, tyagat, by such renunciation, shanti, peace, anantaram, thereafter. Translation. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action, for by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Report. As mentioned in the previous verses, there are two kinds of devotional service, the way of regulative principles and the way of full attachment and love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those who are actually not able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, it is better to cultivate knowledge, because by knowledge one can be able to understand his real position. Gradually, knowledge will develop up to the point of meditation. By meditation, one can be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by a gradual process. In the cultivation of knowledge, there are processes which make one understand that one himself is the Supreme. And that sort of meditation is preferred if one is unable to engage in devotional service. If one is not able to meditate in such a way, then there are prescribed duties as enjoined in the Vedic literatures for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, which we shall find in the last chapter of Bhagavad-Gītā. But in all cases, one should give up the result of fruits of labor. And this means to employ the result of karma for some good cause. In summary, to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal, there are two processes. One process is by gradual development, and the other process is direct. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the direct method, and the other method involves renouncing the fruits of one's activities. Then one can come to the stage of knowledge, then to the stage of meditation, then to the stage of understanding the Supersoul, then to the stage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One may either take the step-by-step process or the direct path. The direct path is not possible for everyone. Therefore, the indirect process is also good. It is, however, to be understood that the indirect process is not recommended for Arjuna because he is already at the stage of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. It is for others who are not at this stage. For them, the gradual process of renunciation, knowledge, meditation, and realization of the Supersoul and Brahman should be followed. But as far as Bhagavad-gītā is concerned, it is the direct method that is stressed. Everyone is advised to take to the direct method and surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Text 13 and 14. Avesta sarvabhutanam matra karuna evacha nirmamo nirhankara samaduka shukakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma drida nishchaya mai arpitamano buddhir yomad bhakta samepriya. Synonyms of Dvesta, non-envious, sarvabhutanam, toward all living entities, maitra, friendly, karuna, kindly, eva, certainly, cha, also, nirmama, with no sense of proprietorship, nirahankara, without false ego, sama, equal, dukkha, in distress, sukha, and happiness, kshami, forgiving, shantushta, satisfied, satatam, always, yogi, one engaged in devotion, yata, atma, self-controlled, drida nishchaya, with determination, mai, upon me, arpita, engaged, mana, mind, buddhi, and intelligence, ya, one who, mad bhakta, my devotee, sahi, me, to me, priya, dear. Translation: one who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, one who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Report. Coming again to the point of pure devotional service, the Lord is describing the transcendental qualifications of a pure devotee in these two verses. The pure devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances, nor is he envious of anyone, nor does a devotee become his enemy's enemy. He thinks, quote, this person is acting as my enemy due to my own past misdeeds, so it is better to suffer than to protest, end quote. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8, it is stated, Natat dukumpam samiksamano bunjana evatma kritam vikpakam. Whenever a devotee is in distress or has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, quote, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far, far greater than I am suffering now. So it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I'm not getting all the punishment I'm due. I am just getting a little by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, end quote. Therefore, he is always calm, quiet, and patient, despite many distressful conditions. A devotee is also always kind to everyone, even to his enemy. Nirmama means that a devotee is does not attach much importance to the pains and trouble pertaining to the body because he knows perfectly well that he is not the material body. He is not identified with the body. Therefore, he is freed from the conception of false ego and is equipoised in happiness and distress. He is tolerant and he's satisfied with whatever comes by the grace of the Supreme Lord. He does not endeavor much to achieve something with great difficulty. Therefore, he is always joyful. He is completely perfect mystic because he is fixed in the instructions received from the spiritual master. And because his senses are controlled, he's determined. He's not swayed by false arguments because no one can lead him from this fixed determination of devotional service. He is fully conscious that Krishna is the eternal Lord, so no one can disturb him. All these qualifications enable him to fix his mind and intelligence entirely on the Supreme Lord. Such a standard of devotional service is undoubtedly very rare, but a devotee becomes situated in that stage by following the regulative principles of devotional service. Furthermore, the Lord says that such a devotee is very dear to him, for the Lord is always pleased with all his activities in full Krishna consciousness. Text 15. Yasman nivijojate loko lokan nodvijate shasa ya harshamarsha vayodvegair mukto yasa chame priya. Synonyms. Yasmat, from whom, na, never, udvijate, are agitated, loka, people, lokat, from people, na, never, udvijate, is disturbed, cha, also, ya, anyone who, harsha, from happiness, amarsha, distress, vaya, fear, udvegai, and anxiety, mukta, freed, ya, one who, or who, sa, anyone, cha, also, may, to me, priya, very dear. Translation: he by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. Report: a few of a devotee's qualifications are being described. No one is put into difficulty, anxiety, or fearfulness, or dissatisfaction by such a devotee. Since a devotee is kind to everyone, he does not act in such a way as to put others into anxiety. At the same time, if others try to put a devotee into anxiety, he is not disturbed. It is by the grace of the Lord that he is so practiced that he is not disturbed by any outward disturbance. Actually, because a devotee is always engrossed in Krishna consciousness and engaged in devotional service, such material circumstances cannot move him. Generally, a materialistic person becomes very happy when there's something for his sense gratification and his body. But when he sees that others have something for their sense gratification and he hasn't, he is sorry and envious. When he is expecting some retaliation from an enemy, he's in a state of fear. And when he cannot successfully execute something, he becomes dejected. A devotee who is always transcendental to all these disturbances is very dear to Krishna. Text 16. Anapeksha suchir daksha udashino gatavyata sarvaramba pratityagi yomad bhakta sime priya. Synonyms: anapeksha, neutral; suchi, pure; daksha, expert; udasina, free from care; gatavyata, freed from all distress; sarva aramba, of all endeavors; pratyagi, renouncer; ya, anyone who, mad bhakta, my devotee, saw, he, may, to me, priya, very dear. Translation: a devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. Purport: money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically, by the grace of the Supreme, money comes to him, he is not agitated. Melissa is in the room here. Hey, Melissa. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm already like, let's see. I started on text 6 and I'm at text 16 now, so just ripping through them here. But we'll take turns reading. I'm going to finish the paragraph I was reading. Well, actually, you can repeat the paragraph. I just started reading it. Just start from this purport here. And then, I mean, how are you at pronouncing Sanskrit?
Not.
Okay, well, I can, if you don't want to try it, I can, or if you think it would, be a botheration, I can do the Sanskrit and then you can just read the English parts. How's that?
Okay, yeah, I don't want to offend, and it's just going to be very slow if I do it.
Yeah, no problem. That's really nice that your cousin was enlivened by the kirtan.
Yes, she asked me a
Stephanie,
bunch of
right?
questions
That's her
about
name.
it. Stephanie.
I told Devananda what you said. And he said, wonderful. So, you
That's
know, he's
awesome.
excited too. It's always nice to see that people are still being attracted to Krishna, you know, because he's, you know, it's rare that some people can actually become attracted, you know, and then by the grace of the devotee, then, you know, like I posted today something on Facebook. I was thinking about it, and he said a devotee is defined as like somebody whose association, by whose association one also becomes a devotee. You know, if you hang out with somebody, Hiranyakashipu said that to his son, Prahlad Maharaj, even though he was a demon, he knew some things. And so let me show you what he said exactly. He said, Hari Bhakti Siddhodaya, there's a conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and his father, Hiranyakashipu, in which Hiranyakashipu addresses Prahlad. He's this 5-year-old boy, you know. He said, that's his son, his actual son. He said, my dear son, association is very important. It acts just like a crystal stone, which will reflect anything which is put before it, end quote. And see, I put this diamond here, you know, it's like refracting light. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, similarly, if we associate with the flower-like devotees like you or like Devananda Pandit, and if our hearts are crystal clear, then certainly the same action will be there. So the devotional association is very, very important. It kind of rubs off, you know. If you hang out with devotees, you'll become like a devotee. If you hang out with drunks and crack addicts, you'll probably be a crack addict, you know. So it really does depend on, because people are very much inclined to be moved in either way with the people that they're associating with. So we can become elevated or we can go down depending on what kind of association we pick, but it's up to us. We have freedom. And so devotees only want to hang out with devotees. George Harrison said that once, you know, one of the Beatles. You know, everybody asked him, a lot of your friends are now like, they're wondering about what are you always hanging around with these Hare Krishnas for? And he said, well, in the end, you know, I kind of said to myself, well, I'd rather be with all those guys over there than those guys, other guys over there, you know. So, you know, it's just like a personal choice, you know. The devotees that like the devotees are like swans that hang out in like lotus-filled ponds that are very clear and transparent and with bees buzzing around the lotus flowers. And then non-devotees are like crows that hang out in garbage heaps. And so there's a big, you know, birds of a feather flock together. So we have to pick the right association of birds. So why don't you read this purport here?
Well,
This is Krishna is explaining to Arjuna in this section, like the various different methods to approach him. If you can't approach him directly by the process of Bhakti Yoga, then there's other ways, like give all you have, help the devotees or work for Krishna, or, you know, even if you can't work for Krishna, then you should just try to, you know, give your money to some charity or something, and, you know, just try to sacrifice a little bit of your fruitive activities. But, you know, but then now he's describing like what is pleasing to him, what kind of a devotee is pleasing to Krishna. And the translation of this verse is, my devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. So you can read the paragraph.
Money may be offered to a devotee, but he should not struggle to acquire it. If automatically, by the grace of the Supreme, money comes to him, he is not agitated. Naturally, a devotee takes a bath at least twice in a day and rises early in the morning for devotional service. Thus, he is naturally clean, both inwardly and outwardly. A devotee is always expert because he fully knows the essence of all activities of life, and he is convinced of the authoritative scriptures. A devotee never takes the part of a particular party, therefore he is carefree. If he is never pained because he is free from all designations. He knows that his body is a designation, so if there is some bodily pains, he is free. The pure devotee does not endeavor for anything which is against the principles of devotional service. For example, constructing a big building that requires great energy, a devotee does not take to such business if it does not benefit him in advancing his devotional service. He may construct a temple for the Lord, and for that he may take all kinds of anxiety, but he does not construct a big house for his personal relations.
Yeah. I just read a book called I'll Temple. And Prabhupada and his devotees went through so much trouble to build that temple in Juhu Beach near Bombay. He spent like 500 days on that property, just fighting with the authorities and everything. Did you hear me?
I was just saying goodbye to the person I live with. They have to leave for the week. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you were talking or something. I just didn't want to, put that on the speaker. So I muted yourself. But do you have to unmute yourself if you're muted?
Yeah.
If I mute.
Monday at 6:30 isn't great either. None of these days at 6:30 is a great time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's the only time I can do it, because a lot of other people, like what's his name? Benjamin was going to try to jump on, but he's really busy now. And he asked me to do it at 6:30 instead of at 6. So, whenever you can jump on though is fine, and I told him he can, jump on anytime he wants, and then it'll be cool. I'm going to do it by myself if nobody else comes, because Krishna's always here. He's ever here in the Bhagavad-gītā. That is Krishna. So it's fine with me. That's what I do all day anyway, is just read. So, and then I just put it up on YouTube and people can follow along in that way. But let's see, we got only 2 minutes left here. So I'll just read this, and then you can read the purport, and that'll be it. Yona harishyati na dvesti na sochyati na kankshati subha shubha parityagi bhaktiman ya same priya. Synonyms: ya, one who na never, hrishyati takes pleasure, na never, dvesti grieves, na never, sochati laments, na never, kankshati desires, shubha of the auspicious, ashubha and the inauspicious, pratyagi the renouncer, bhaktiman devotee, ya, one who saw he is may, to me, priya, dear. Translation: one who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Purport. Oh, you can read the purport.
A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, nor is he very much anxious to get a son or disciple, nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he is not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspicious, inauspicious, and sinful activities. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risks for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna.
Yeah, somebody who can tolerate all kinds of things, like sometimes, if somebody's, a non-devotee, if something comes to him for sense gratification or for bodily, pleasure, or, intoxication, he's very happy. But if somebody else gets something, then he's very angry, and envious. And if some impediment comes, he can, devotee can tolerate it. Whereas another person, he may just get frustrated and it's always like, this hankering for something that you don't have. And instead of just being satisfied with where we are now, hankering for something we don't have and then lamenting if we don't get it. It's like a football, hankering and lamentation. It's like you're being kicked in both ways on the football field. And in that way, you don't really think about Krishna. And so when you neither lament nor desire, when you're not hankering or lamenting for something, then Krishna can actually, enter your heart and talk to you. And then he becomes very dear to such a person who doesn't do those kinds of things that are just a distraction, becomes very dear to Krishna, because Krishna is always there and he wants to talk to us. He's like there at all times in our hearts, waiting for us to turn our face to him. But if we're always hankering for something and lamenting if we don't get it, then we can't pay attention to Krishna. So that's the bottom line of that verse. You got any questions?
No, I would say though that I feel like I don't know anyone like that.
You don't know anybody. Yeah, well, it's like there's a lot of people that kind of like, like if they get some criticism, I remember Barack Obama, he used to just go like this, like, brush it off, It's like if you get some bad press, or if you get some insult, it just like flows off some people like water off a duck's back. Water just doesn't stick to a duck's back or to a lotus leaf. You can be in the world and not of the world. And so that's the grace of a devotee, that he can be above all the turmoil of the material world. There's so much turmoil going on, but a devotee can like kind of rise above it and not judge anybody or look down on anybody or think themselves higher, or not criticize somebody that's lower, but they just see that everybody's like working in their own way under the modes of material nature, which is directed by Krishna, and they're detached from all material circumstances, so that they can they're not affected by loss or gain, victory or defeat. That's what Krishna tells Arjuna later on in this book. Be transcendental to all these modes of material nature. Those, you don't be affected by it's none of your business, the victory or defeat. Just do just do your duty, and then not be attached to result. Just do your duty because I want you to. He didn't want to fight, his brothers and his grandfather and all the enemies of Yudhishthira. He didn't want to do that because a lot of them were his friends and relatives. But Krishna wanted to fight, and so he convinced him and he fought. And so then he was free from his own attachments. And when you become free from your attachments, then you can open up to Krishna, because that's the mode of goodness. You become an instrument to Krishna, and he can use you in his service. And so that's the goal. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Whenever you can join me in the future, feel free to do it. It's like 6:30. I know it's a bad time, but if you can jump in at 7 o'clock like you did this time, then that's fine too, or whenever you can. And, there's going to be a big program at the Kirtan Center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going.
That's
on Thursday.
Mahavishnu Swami.
I'm going to do the reading. I've been practicing. I started practicing today.
Practicing reading?
Yeah, because I'm going to have to sing the Sanskrit part.
Oh, okay. Are you going to do the reading, the Bhagavad-gītā reading at the Kirtan Center? Oh, that's wonderful.
On Thursday.
I'm going to talk to you into that, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, he's really on top of it. I like the way Mukunda's. He must have arranged for this, him and Shyamasundar probably, because Shyamasundar probably invited Mahavishnu Swami, who is like a big Kirtaniya. He's from England, but he travels around. He's got an accordion. He has this really funny looking hat. You know, he's like, he was here in the Pitt campus one time, and he like shoves a microphone in your face and makes me chant Hare Krishna, you know. And he's like a circus performer almost, you know, and people like it because he's got this funny hat and he's got an accordion, but it's all decorated with all kinds of like doodads. And he just draws attention, and you know, it's kind of like a scene, you know, and people like it, and they start following him around, and they chant too. The whole thing is he wants to engage them in chanting. So he's going to be there at the Kirtan Center. So
nice,
you know,
I can't wait.
Yeah, that'd be good. See if Stephanie can come.
Yeah, I asked her if she wanted to go. I don't know if she's going on Thursday, but she did say that she can understand why I go, which is cool.
Yeah.
She said,
if she can understand that, I mean, a lot of people say, why do you waste your time with them Hare Krishnas? They're not doing anything. But you know, at least she appreciates that there's some attraction there. So thank you very much for bringing her, and maybe I'm definitely going on Thursday. Mukunda kind of depends on me to be the second camera because I'm pointing it towards the audience, you know, so you get a double split screen. You know what I mean?
yeah, is there a delay with that or anything, or does it sound good?
There's a little bit of a delay, but it's not really. I mean, it is live broadcast, but he posted on YouTube afterwards. It actually is live streamed on his YouTube channel. See, it's called a StreamYard. SteamYard. That's the service. It kind of like, it records it, and it automatically live streams it to Google YouTube instead of on Facebook. But he also posts it after it's done. He posts it on Facebook, you know, on the Kirtan Center website. So hopefully
nice.
I'll see you, and then, you know, maybe Stephanie will be free too. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be cool. Hopefully she comes. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Okay. We'll talk to you later, Melissa. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Hey, no problem. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.